So good evening, everybody, and welcome to this State of the City, March 27th convening of the City Council. I want to welcome all of you who are here and also online watching us virtually. As is tradition in Daly City, I, as the mayor gets to deliver the State of the City to you tonight. It is comforting to know that the pandemic is dissipating and that we can continue to propel forward and seize new opportunities ahead. I know many of our residents and businesses are still struggling to recover from the pandemic, and I take my duty as your elected representative to advocate and direct resources to best serve our community, especially for those who are in need. While I will be spotlighting Daly City's accomplishments over the past year, I will also share what's in store for 2023, and that will contribute to the city's restoration and growth. But before I do, I would like to acknowledge my fellow city council members who I work alongside. In attendance tonight, our Vice Mayor Jocelyn Manalo. All right, you can applaud. Councilmember Dr. Roderick Daus Magbual. Councilmember Glenn Sylvester. And Councilmember Pamela Di Giovanni. I would also like to acknowledge our very own Supervisor David Canepa, and his son, and Tony, his Chief of Staff. Also, we have our Personnel Board Commissioner Perla Ibarrientos. Hi, Perla. Arts and Culture Commissioner Dori Panisa. There she is. Chamber of Commerce Representative Monica DiVincenzi. There you are. And Chamber of Commerce Representative Marie Villarosa. Marie. Republic Services Travis Armstrong. Oh, he's stepped out. Okay. And I'd like to acknowledge our staff. Number one, our City Manager Tom Piccolotti. Mr. Piccolotti. Acting Chief of Police Cameron Christensen. Our Fire Chief Ron Myers. Acting Water and Wastewater Joshua Cosgrove. EC Director Tatum Mothershead. HR Director Natalie Sakai. The Attorney Rose Zimmerman. Just want to make sure. Okay, thank you very much for greeting them and acknowledging them. All right, first and foremost, I want to also extend my deepest gratitude for the hard work and dedication of our own workforce staff. Continuing to provide exceptional public service has evolved due to the new demands that COVID unleashed upon us with no warning. Service has changed overnight and has continuously evolved over the past few years. The resiliency and strength that each of you demonstrated throughout the pandemic has been remarkable. So thank you for keeping us together and safe. Over the past year, the Human Resources Department was instrumental in maintaining a strong workforce and the continuity of our government operations. With an increase in the number of retirements and resignations over the past year, the city is trying to stay competitive in time where finding talent is a priority. To this end, HR completed 40 recruitments and hired 63 full-time employees to fill those vacancies. HR also hired an additional 4 full-time employees to fill positions that would support new Measure Q programming for library restoration and senior services. 1 full-time employee due to succession planning needs in the Water and Wastewater Department, and 71 part-time employees. The department also successfully negotiated and settled 10 of the 11 labor contracts up for renewal. Moving on to workplace safety and wellness. With COVID still prevalent through 2022, HR led the change to maintain a safe and healthy workplace. They stayed up to date on changing regulations and provided timely communications to the workforce and the public about evolving policies. Sensitive to the trying climate, HR hosted numerous events to promote employee wellness, participation, and recognition. HR continues to offer testing options and KN95 masks to employees, which was especially important when City Hall reopened to the public in September 2022. As we continue to turn the corner, HR is transitioning back to in-person written and oral examinations for our recruitments. Emergency food distribution. Food insecurity continues to be addressed within our community, and emergency meals are still being distributed. The Recreation Division provided 51,831 meals last year, while grab and go and home delivered meals programs have unsettled. Second course home delivery and the Congregate Nutrition Lunch Program are still in place. The Congregate Nutrition Lunch Program resumed in-person services at Dolger Senior Center and Lincoln Park as of April 2022 and has expanded to the Bayshore Community Center in August 2022 and will be expanding to Gellert Park later this year. The Westlake Park Senior Food Pantry is now open to serve eligible Daly City seniors free groceries from Second Harvest of Silicon Valley. Groceries include dairy and meat products, canned and dry goods, bread, and specialty items. Creating an inclusive and welcoming community, the age-friendly city. Addressing the needs of the city's older adult population has been a steady focus for the city as we continue to evolve as an age-friendly city. In addition to addressing food insecurity, the Recreation Division welcomed active adults and seniors back to programs in April 2022 with performances by volunteer and contractor-led classes, information about our community centers, and a free lunch. We were overjoyed to host over 350 people. At this event, recreation staff began to survey our community to learn more about existing and future needs to assess where city services can fill in the gaps. While this effort will inform Recreation's strategic action plan, recreation programming for active adults and seniors is currently thriving at the Dolger Senior Center, at the Lincoln Park Community Center, and at the War Memorial Community Center for in-person activities. Recreation programming for active adults and seniors has also expanded into the Bayshore Community Center and Westlake Park. All three gymnasiums now offer free open gym pickleball and badminton, a huge plus for many in our community. Additionally, programs for active adults and seniors like the Congregate Lunch Program, workshops, and social gaming, to name a few, is now offered Monday through Thursdays at Gellert Park Clubhouse. The Age-Friendly Task Force comprised of city staff and an elected official, I believe that's you, Vice Mayor Manalo, and community partners, is in the process of creating an age-friendly action plan this year and needs your help. All are encouraged to take the age-friendly survey, which can be found on our website shown on the screen. Assistance is also available for anyone that may not have access to a computer or the internet, and computer clinics will be set up at local community centers and libraries. Speaking of access, our public libraries offer resources to bridge the digital divide that many in our community still experience. The library has been the recipient of numerous grants to support our programming, equipment needs, and of course, our books. The library lends Wi-Fi hotspots to enable residents to access the internet from our home or on the go, as well as Chromebooks. Library visitors can also access the internet on their personal devices at any of our 4 libraries. Desktop computers are also available. Wi-Fi enabled tablets have recently been added to the inventory of equipment with use of the City Council allocated American Rescue Plan Act, ARPA, funding, and will be available for checkout this year. In fact, ARPA funding will also provide the entire Bayshore neighborhood with free public Wi-Fi network, which is slated for a project completion next year. With the City Council's restoration of 3 full-time positions, hours were expanded at Bayshore and John Daly libraries so that all 4 libraries are now open 5 days per week to provide in-person programming as well as virtual programs. This resulted in nearly 175,000 visits, which is a 37% increase from 2021. 141,500 checkouts of physical items, which is a 38% increase from 2021. And over 40,000 e-books, e-audiobooks, e-magazines, and streaming videos. Additionally, the Bayshore Community Center and Library will have its electrical system and emergency generator updated to ensure it is operational during power outages. Even in this digital age, the need for libraries still exists. Last April, the City Council permanently eliminated fines for overdue materials in an effort to remove unnecessary barriers to services, especially for lower-income residents who benefit from libraries tremendously. By eliminating these fines and restoring library accounts, the city's aim was to expand access to materials and services, reduce the inequitable impact of overdue fines, improve residents' relationships with their libraries, and allow more time for library staff to focus on efforts on providing vital services, including school site visits and community events. Inclusive events. As Daly City is a welcoming city, it is important that our diverse population feels included, and I am glad to see we can do so again in person. Whether we are hosting a gala to appreciate our active adults and seniors, or celebrating Black History Month, Latino Heritage Month, or Filipino American History Month, all community members are welcome to join. This year, I am excited to announce the city's first Chinese cultural celebration scheduled on June 3rd, at Gellert Park. Through former Mayor Dr. Roderick Daus Magbual's leadership, youth from Jefferson High School and Westmore High School have formed the Daly City Chinese Youth Committee to spearhead a Children's Day celebration in partnership with the city. I can't wait to see all of DCCY's hard work, planning, and execution come to life. Thank you, Dr. Rod. Diversity, equity, and inclusion training. Diversity, equity, and inclusion continue to be promoted in the workplace. Following training conducted for the City Council and board, commission, and committee members, 3 citywide trainings were launched for employees last year covering anti-harassment, diversity and inclusion, and unconscious bias. The city is committed to taking continuous steps to educate everyone in our organization so that the public services revolve around diversity, equity, inclusion principles. Improving our emergency response. In addition to creating an inclusive and welcoming community, improving emergency response is another critical focus. The pandemic fueled a 3-year-long state of emergency, and natural disasters such as wildfires and the recent winter storms only added more pressure to our strained resources. Nonetheless, the city's workforce remains dedicated to providing services. Emergency preparedness. North County Fire Authority continued implementation of their pandemic response plan through 2022, focusing on preparedness, response, personal protective equipment, and operational readiness. They provided basic emergency preparedness seminars for individuals and families and conducted Community Emergency Response Team CERT classes to prepare for disasters, distributed information on senior citizen fall prevention, and a home safety checklist, and presented hands-only CPR and stop the bleed instruction to the public, as well as virtual fire extinguisher training to businesses and residents. NCFA, the North County Fire Authority, deployed fire companies and chief officers to multiple major wildfire incidents throughout California. They also increased their outreach and education efforts by distributing the Ready, Set, Go wildfire preparedness brochure, finalizing a wildfire and all-risk evacuation plan, and implementing a tool to assist in major emergency evacuations that is available for public access through a web-based platform. NCFA continues to take lead during our winter storm events, staffing an emergency command center to ensure the safety of the community during rains and high winds that cause flooding, accidents, and down trees and power lines. Mental health, a mental health clinician. Other emergency responses included the Community Wellness and Crisis Response Team pilot program, which is entering its 2nd year with a certified mental health clinician. The clinician partners with our police officers in response to calls involving those experiencing a mental health crisis. The program thus far has been very successful and well received by all stakeholders, creating a strong desire to continue and expand upon the program. Having an added resource of a mental health clinician has not only benefited the community, but the police department as well. Internally, this resource has increased awareness that the health and mental wellness of officers is important to providing quality public safety services to the community. The state also recognizes the importance of officer wellness and has awarded grant funding specifically intended to address this by deploying a tool in the form of a mobile application that will allow all sworn and non-sworn members of the department to assess their health and mental wellness and offer resources for assistance. To provide a more holistic approach, the application will also be extended to the families of current members as well as retired personnel. Community and school resource officers. Another important program in the police department is community engagement. The department is committed to re-engaging with the community to build meaningful relationships founded in transparency and trust. Since COVID, limited interactions, resources are being reprioritized so officers can spend more time engaging with community members outside of the general patrol environment and in more positive settings. The department has also formed 2 community and school resource officers and created a social media and recruitment team to increase outreach and communication with the community. Officers will participate in project ownership with our schools to develop awareness of school needs and provide support to ensure our youth remain safe. Prioritizing safety. Safety improvements through built infrastructures are another priority and necessity. ADA improvements in the form of curb ramp installations, sidewalk and parking lot improvements, and entry doors at Lincoln Park Community Center have been completed. The Mission Streetscape project is in the process of installing traffic calming on Mission Street in the northernmost part of Daly City, and is expected to reach completion by this summer. Vision Zero, a campaign aimed to reduce traffic and pedestrian fatalities to zero, launched its 12-month social media campaign featuring local community members and city staff. Be sure to visit Vision Zero, the Vision Zero webpage later this spring to see what action you can take to support this effort, including requesting a yard sign of the images you see on the screen. Signals have been retimed at major intersections and streets that have been identified as areas prone to high injury. John Daly Boulevard, Junipero Serra Boulevard, Saramonte Boulevard, Hickey Boulevard, and Gellert Boulevard. The Central Corridor project was awarded $2.2 million in grant funds for bicycle and pedestrian improvements. Daly City's Safe Routes to School program received $3.2 million in funding from our own Assembly member Phil Ting to implement safety improvements. Along those routes at Thomas R. Pellicida Middle School, John F. Kennedy Elementary, and Susan B. Anthony Elementary. Beyond safe infrastructures, the city is prioritizing the safety of its community members. In the coming months, 36 automated external defibrillators, AEDs, will be installed in our public facilities. Encouraging economic growth and longevity. In addition to safety measures, staff has also been focusing on economic growth and longevity. The Economic and Community Development Department continues to welcome new businesses. At Westlake Shopping Center, Burlington Coat Factory is soon reopening at a different storefront location within the shopping center. At Ceremony Mall, several new stores have recently opened, including JD Sports and Pandora, and popular food spots like the Super Duper Burgers and Cinnabon, with Devil and Angels and Burn-in-Mouth Chicken opening soon. Seafood City Supermarket will be included in the first phase of redevelopment at the St. Francis Shopping Center, which includes demolition and new construction of the supermarket, construction of new retail building, facade of improvements to 3 existing retail buildings, and other site improvements. The project will have a second phase that proposes the construction of a new drive-through restaurant and a master sign program for the shopping center. Promoting longevity. St. Francis Shopping Center is home to many outstanding, long-standing businesses like Hapag Filipino, Valerio's, TC Pastry, and Burma Cafe. These types of small businesses are a part of the commercial makeup that make Daly City home. The Small Business Commission has been working to develop a legacy business program that will celebrate local, long-standing, community-serving, and culturally relevant businesses. An ordinance to establish this program will be considered by the City Council in the next month. Encouraging growth. The owners of DC Station have been undergoing a significant retrofit to make the building suitable for life science businesses. The project is near completion, and the 2 new tenants are moving forward with their improvements, the Every Company and Ambagon Therapeutics. A neighboring site of DC Station is the city-owned parcel on Junipero Serra, which is earmarked for future economic development. As the city supports economic growth and development, the council is open to considering how the city-owned parcels can be utilized for future developments. In 2022, council approved the development of a mixed-use building at the site of the former Burlington Coat Factory. The Westlake Shopping Center housing will contain 10,800 square feet of commercial retail space, an above-grade parking garage, and 214 apartment units. The developer is currently selecting their design team, and construction is expected to begin at the end of this year. Improving quality of life. As our city continues to grow, there remains critical need for housing, especially affordable housing. Daly City supports and welcomes affordable housing. In an effort to spur development of local affordable housing projects, a total of $12.5 million has been awarded to support an approved affordable housing project located at 493 Eastmore Avenue in Daly City. The state has awarded $3 million to Core Affordable Housing, the developer of this project, and the County of San Mateo Board of Supervisors has pledged an additional $9.5 million to the project. Thank you, DJ. Over $6.5 million, which includes permanent local housing allocation, PLHA, Home Investment Partnership Program, HOME, Home Investment Partnership Program, America Rescue Plan, and Daly City's Housing Trust Fund is also allocated to support the construction of 72 affordable rental homes for extremely low and very low income individuals and families. CORE is pursuing additional funding to meet its anticipated groundbreaking slated for June 2024. Midway Village, the largest affordable housing development on the peninsula, is currently under construction. When completed, 555 affordable units with many other amenities will transform our Bayshore community. Also located in the Bayshore neighborhood is the Carter Martin housing development near the Cow Palace, which is proposed to bring 20 market-rate single-family homes and 2 affordable apartment structures to be built in 2 phases. The first building would provide 120 affordable units, and the second apartment building would provide 112 affordable units for a total of 232 affordable units. The Jefferson Elementary School District Faculty and Staff Housing Project has begun construction and is expected to be completed this year. The project includes 56 apartments, of which will include 6 affordable units within 6 all-electric buildings, a community center, over 70,000 square feet of open space, and various outdoor amenities. This project will be exclusively for JEST faculty, staff, and their families. The Jefferson Union High School District Faculty, Staff, and Housing Project, which includes a 122-unit apartment building with 12 affordable units, over 21,000 square feet of open space, an automated car lift with a car barn for residents, and various other residential amenities, was completed last year and is now fully occupied, providing comfortable and affordable housing for JUHSD faculty. The city recently initiated a rezoning effort for 2 significant commercial corridors, Mission Street and Geneva Avenue, to encourage the development of new housing that will enhance the quality of life in those areas. In January, Samtrans representatives gave an update on the status of their plans to develop housing at their park and ride lot located in Daly City. That's next to the Colma BART station. With support from the Daly City Council, MTC, and BART, Samtrans will be seeking approval from the Federal Highway Administration and Caltrans to release this property for residential development, which is estimated to include at least 15% affordable housing. Daly City is deeply committed to continually pursuing opportunities to increase affordable housing in our community. Let me just take a slight break and get a little water. All right. Childcare for low-income families. More residents will enhance the need for more services, including childcare, after-school programs, youth and teen activities, and recreation programming. With council approval of ARPA funding and additional funding championed by the Office of Congresswoman Jackie Spear, the development of a 4,000 square foot childcare facility for infants and toddlers that will serve low-income families in Daly City is underway. The project is in its design phase, with the construction anticipated to begin next year. After-school programs. As childcare is also needed for the children after school, the Recreation Division has continued to work closely with school personnel to offer the after-school youth recreation program at our 4 elementary school sites: Panorama, Daniel Webster, Junipero Serra, and MH Tobias, and 1 middle school site at Fernando Rivera. Spring and summer camps. With spring break approaching, families can take advantage of a 1-week program of daily themed activities and fun for our youth. Looking ahead to summer break, the Summer Youth Recreation Program will offer 6 weeks of themed enrichment activities, games, sports, and fitness, mini trips, and more at Westlake Park, Gellert Park, and Marchbank Clubhouse, as well as the newly added site at the Bayshore Community Center. The County of San Mateo has again awarded the city the Summer Enrichment Grant to provide more access to the socially and economically disadvantaged youth during the summer. The $110,000 grant will be used to provide scholarships, awards to eligible participants so they may register for the Summer Youth Recreation Program, as well as enhance program offerings like the extended aftercare hours and teen programming. Several programs have emerged to keep our teens engaged, and recreation proudly served over 600 teens this past year. Teen cooking classes were held at the Cafe Dolger, and the Job Readiness and Teen Internship Program was offered both in the summer and early winter, and engaged, educated, and trained teens on the job. The preparedness also through resume building, filling out an application, building the knowledge and skills needed for a job interview, and allowed for teens to apply for the teen intern portion of the program. The Volunteen Leadership Program gave opportunities for teens to support and or lead a variety of daily enrichment activities for the Summer Youth Recreation Program. The Teen Open Gym was offered at 3 locations throughout our community: War Memorial, Westlake, and the Bayshore Community Center. Friday night hangouts launched last summer at the Lacombe Clubhouse for all teens that wanted a safe place to hang out and socialize with their friends. Recreation programs. It is uplifting to know that the return of in-person program is really booming. As of last year, Spring Fun Day, Halloween, winter celebrations returned to an in-person format accommodating attendees of 500 to 1,500 community members. The Tiny Tot Open Gym has resumed, as well as the Youth Basketball League and the Youth Baseball League. This year, Recreation will be introducing adult tournaments such as cornhole and volleyball. Contracted classes and camps are transitioning back to indoor formats. Aquatic classes continue to expand, with Recreation Swim returning in spring and Aqua Camp returning in the summer. Facility rentals. Swim party rentals are again being accepted for reservations, and facility rentals have lifted previous COVID-19 measures such as capacity restrictions, and the use of our gyms for athletic use and high-capacity events have now resumed. As a new highlight, Recreation and Public Works have been working closely with City Ventures to finalize the construction of a new facility rental location at the Juniper development on D Street. We look forward to the grand opening of the new Tita Alice Bulos Community Hub later this year. Park improvements. Another grand opening we have to look forward to is the installation of 2 outdoor fitness courts at Westlake Park and Lincoln Park. And if you've not already visited the newly renovated Polaris Park, we encourage you to stop by to enjoy the new playground equipment, picnic area, fencing, and water bottle filling station. Infrastructure and street improvements. Improvements to the roadways and infrastructure is an ongoing effort. Street resurfacing projects will continue to keep our streets in good condition. Public Works has been actively seeking grant opportunities to update street lighting. Currently, 2 projects are slated this year to convert street lights to new technology that will increase their reliability and reduce power consumption. Addressing catalytic converter thefts. Recognizing the ongoing trend of catalytic converter thefts, the Council adopted an ordinance in November 2022 targeting the unlawful possession of used catalytic converters and providing a mechanism to address the financial and emotional strain these thefts have had on our community. Sustainability. Daly City's need for sustainable drinking water supplies has been highlighted even more during this recent drought. The Department of Water and Wastewater Resources continues to provide a high level of service in protecting public health and the environment. Our city has achieved important milestones in water projects and water management. APRA funding is helping to support a new drinking water well at Margate Street, which has completed design and will be built this year. When complete, this well is estimated to supply more than 700,000 gallons of drinking water per day. In an effort to protect over 10 million gallons of our drinking water supply, Reservoir 5B rehabilitation is under design and Reservoir 5 is anticipated for rehabilitation later this year. DWWR is also designing a new well to replace an inactive well located at Vale Street and Station Avenue, both of which are anticipated to provide approximately 1 million to 1.5 million gallons of water per day in additional high-quality drinking water. A partnership with the San Francisco Public Utilities Commission has completely funded upgrades to a drinking water pump station that will allow for additional groundwater into our system, producing 2 million gallons per day of high-quality drinking water. The city is expanding the provision of recycled water to its projected partners by an additional 1 million to 2 million gallons per day. DWWR continues to work with the San Francisco Public Utilities Commission and Cal Water on an expansion of the recycled water treatment and distribution system from the North San Mateo County Sanitation District's wastewater treatment facility. The Vista Grand Drainage Basin Improvement Project will improve groundwater recharge and stormwater management and is now fully designed. The financing plan includes $120 million in approved funding from the state and federal government, with several permits secured from other government agencies, as well as additional funding from local project partners. The council formed a joint powers financing authority for the purpose of financing this important project. Electrification. As the city steadily works to reduce its carbon footprint, electrification efforts continue to be implemented and explored. Last spring, the council adopted an ordinance for the expedited, streamlined review process for our new electric vehicle charging facilities. The city is currently exploring funding opportunities with the Peninsula Clean Energy to invest in electric vehicle charging infrastructure as its first step to converting to an all-electric fleet. And with Peninsula Clean Energy as our regional energy supplier of clean electricity, Daly City was once again recognized as a green power community by the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency. Addressing pollution. The Clean Daly City initiative to combat illegal dumping and litter has entered into its third E of the program, enforcement. With the help of our community, the city's illegal dumping task force has been able to pursue violators for dumping in our city. Let's continue to work together for a clean, livable environment and neighborhoods. In addition to cleanup efforts, the city also supports the empowerment of our youth to change the world by providing opportunities to participate in the reforestation of Daly City, as well as educational experiences for teachers and students to learn how to take care of the planet. I am amazed at the tremendous amount of work we have been able to complete this past year and look forward to the many highlights in store for 2023. Daly City is a resilient city, and I am proud to serve our residents, businesses, and workforce. I know the pandemic brought forth many challenges that we had to overcome. The needs of our community have changed, and the City Council will be cognizant of that as policies are enacted, projects are approved, staffing and services are determined, and funding is allocated. In spite of these challenges, our city has proven it can prevail, and it will prevail. We must adopt the new normal before us and be open to tackling matters in unique ways. Looking through a lens of opportunity, with COVID taking a back seat, I am optimistic we can accomplish so much together in this coming year. Daly City, our future is bright with growth and potential. Thank you for joining me tonight for this State of the City address. Thank you. Thank you. It's not me. It's not me. Over to the Vice Mayor. Go ahead, Madam Vice Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor, for that wonderful state of the city for our beloved Daly City, and hearing what's in front of us and also what has been accomplished is really tremendous. And, you know, from, as you mentioned, from the pandemic to now, I want to thank the staff as well for their continued efforts, for all that they've done, the pivoting, and it's just amazing to see what is coming down the pipeline. Thank you for articulating so many of the things that we do on the policy level that we don't see in kind of the format that you've given, Mayor. And so thank you for presenting that to the community, and I look forward to continuing to working on these projects and also to continue progressing the city of Daly City. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Vice Mayor. Mr. Giovanni, go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor. I just want to say that it's great to see what we've already done It sounds like an echo, but the plans that are ahead, these are real plans. These are plans, and these are plans because of the great teamwork we have and all of our workers here on every level. From all the union workers, the classified, the unclassified, the executive management. It's a real team here in Daly City, and we couldn't do it without the residents. The community is amazing here. And they actually see the people working and see the real results. From public safety to our PD, to our firefighters, as things evolve, fighting the fires is one thing, but now we've come to a new level with these winds, these storms, and we don't even know what's ahead. Is that our new norm? We're not sure, but they're ready. And with our new city manager, and we've already had where the storms have begun, we are teams and ready with our public works and everyone in place. And when they come staffed up, and they mean staffed up, they're here 24 hours a day. And that's a lot to ask. And they never complain, they're never tired, and our new library hours have been tremendous. I do hope that at some point we're able to open up on the Saturdays that seem to be a high demand as well. I mean, we will have growth, but we do have to have the budget in mind. But to give a snapshot tonight that was well written and well said by our mayor, to give everyone, to let them know that there is a lot of work being done during the COVID, before the COVID. Some of these plans were in place, but they were implemented. The mental health component, which is ever a need more than ever. And to see that people are taking advantage of these resources is really important, really important. So if any of you see these resources or you know people that need them, like our mental health clinician or anything in the city, please let them know that we have the resources for our community and for our workers and for our staff and our PD and our fire and everyone, because we want to be a healthy community, but physically, mentally, and all able to work together. So looking forward to the mayor and all of us working together. We have great things to come in the future, many projects, many things that are on this agenda even tonight and forthcoming. And thank you for the great snapshot, and that it sounds real positive, and we are meeting our housing needs as we speak, because we know we got the RENA numbers, so we're doing that. So thank you very much for the well delivery, Mr. Mayor, and for our community, those that couldn't make it tonight, that texted me, they will be having this on video on YouTube, so you can go back and see the things that are actually accomplished. And we have our personnel board, who is a part of our Vision Zero promotion, who is part of our Age Friendly tonight, Perla Rientos, who's been a great community leader herself in our community. So thank you all, and we all did it together with our city attorney as well. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Mayor
Dr.
and
Rob,
Council.
go ahead.
One thing that's really cool about being the position that we're in council and being our perspective is we do a lot of doing. There's a lot of forward thinking. And when you do a lot of forward thinking, you tend to forget about what we've done in the past because we're moving so fast. And when we go through these State of the City addresses, it's like looking back on a journal reflection in a diary or a journal, or even looking back at your phone and looking at pictures that you've done over the past year. And then looking at all the pictures and all the accomplishments that we've had, it gives us a pause to say, dang it, we did a lot of stuff. And we did a lot of stuff because it's not just us here. We do a lot of talking here. But the folks that do a lot of the groundwork is our staff and all the workers in this beautiful community. So working with Tom over the past year, Leilani, Charlie, our Angie, our new Angie, and all the workers, we put this whole thing in motion. You know, even Rose with her tremendous intellect, knowing all the laws and policies. This is, we need times like this to kind of like stop and pause and look what we've accomplished, but also kind of looking forward. And so when we look at these State of the City addresses, it's almost like looking at a knot. And you know, you look at a knot, you tie it up really, really tight. And that tension in the middle represents what we've accomplished, what we've inherited, but also this tension of the future of what we want to envision for our communities looking forward. And looking forward, we've been through a lot of turning the corner on COVID-19, improving our communities and looking at all the different forms of mixed income housing that's coming into Daly City. It's almost amazing to see all these different things. Just 2 or 3 years ago, we were all at homes, video Zooming each other, and I didn't know if we were ever going to come back in these positions. So I'm grateful for all the staff, the community, the workers, our residents. You all are what makes our community beautiful. Thank you to the mayor for delivering that key address.
Thank you, Dr. Rod. Mr. Sylvester.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First of all, I'd like to congratulate you on an excellent, well-done state of address. And as mentioned here, it was refreshing to know what we have accomplished this whole year. It really means a lot. We do so much up here on the dais and approve this, approve that. And I see a couple of things, approve the city manager and the contract with certain things. We've had many of those. But you know what? Staff and the city managers, those are our experts. I once asked the boss, how you know so much? And he says, I don't. But I surround myself by people who do. So, Mr. Piccolotti, I'd like to give my hats off to you as what you've done so far. The foundation is very, very important, and it is our pillar of strength as we move forward. And to work on those pillars is what's going to take us into the future for a strong Daly City. Every situation that comes up, and I'm going to take the pandemic, for instance. What did we learn from the pandemic? We learned a lot. But what did we gain out of the pandemic? We've gained teleconferencing, the use of Zoom. We've created more efficiencies. And you remember the time when you stayed off the street and our air quality was great? So that's completely dynamic and fluid. I say that to say this. Just this past week, when I was here at City Hall, I spoke to someone in the permit section. And you know what he said to me? He says, have you thought about, with all these rains, what's been happening? I said, yeah, trees are down. The city's done an excellent job of working on those trees. He says, no, but you have to dig deeper. I said, what do you mean dig deeper? He says you have to think about the construction aspect and new construction. And when new construction is being built, you should take these matters into consideration. I said, wow. See, those are our experts. And listening to those experts is paramount and important. Listening to the community is paramount and important because we don't know everything. When I sit here, I try to put myself, when you speak up here, in your shoes and say, what is the real agenda? How would I like it if it was me? That is how we're going to move ahead and be a strong Daly City. It is very, very important. And again, Mr. Mayor, I'd like to congratulate you because you validated, you verified what we have done as council, but we would not get it done if not for you all. Thank you very much, and that's my comments.
Thank you, Mr. Sylvester. I'm going to give I'm going to let our supervisor have, just come on up, dude. You helped us a lot, and I want to recognize you and say a few words.
First of all, I would agree with Councilmember Sylvester. I think I've done a lot of these state of the cities. This was probably by far, and kudos to Tom Piccolotti and kudos to the staff, but the graphics, when I was on council, we weren't that good, okay? But the graphics and the storytelling, your speech was by far the best speech that's I've ever heard in this dais, and that's a kudos to your preparation and to the staff. And so that's all I wanted to say. I'm biased, though. I like Ray. Good man. Good man. You really hit the moment. You really did a phenomenal job. Be proud of that. Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor, appreciate it. All right. Okay, so let's, Tom, did you want to say anything as a roundup? Come on. Huh?
In the efforts of time?
Oh. All right. Okay, so that's a wrap, and let's just move right on to our regular meeting of the city council. So let me call the regular meeting of the Daly City Council meeting to order this Monday, March 27, 2023. We have everybody here in place. Where's Miss Hipona? Okay, so there are, to watch this telecast, you can go on Comcast 27 or on youtube.com/Daly City Video Meetings, or on the web at www.dalycity.org/agendas. There are two ways to submit public comment. One is you can submit written comments by the meeting day, and second, you can come in person and make your public comment. So let me start with, could you please all rise and say the pledge with me? Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, let's go on to a roll call, please. Madam City Clerks.
Ms. Di Giovanni,
Present?
Dr. Rod, Ms. Manalo,
Present.
Mr. Sylvester,
Ben Sylvester, present.
Mr. Buenaventura.
Present. Thank you, Madam City Clerk. Let's go on to the approval of the minutes of March 13, 2023.
Motion to approve?
Second?
All in favor, say aye.
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 Any objection? Hearing none, those minutes are approved. Let's go on to the approval of the agenda. Can I get a motion to approve the agenda?
Motion to approve the agenda?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any objection? Hearing none, the agenda is approved. Let's go on to public appearances, oral communications. I have one speaker card. Is that right, Ms. Hipona? Okay, one speaker card, and this is Joel Nino. Mr. Nino, come on up. You have 2 minutes. Thank you for coming.
Good evening,
Good evening.
Mayor, Deputy Mayor, Council members, City Manager, Attorney, City Attorney, and City Clerk. Please accept my apologies about the last meeting when I burst out saying I'll take the place, the studio, 21, I say I'll take it. I thought there was a bidding going on, so I'd like to announce to you that I have a moving date, so I'm moving in Park Plaza. I have a Park Plaza, so I have to walk from City One Park Plaza to 81 Park Plaza, and I have an indoor garage because I purchased a motorcycle. And homelessness, or I was with the needy. I was in the hands of Dr. Greenberg, a life who's equivalency of 13 months. So I know how that feels. And also, the sports and collectible ceremony, the contingency are still there. So I have people, please contact Alex Sese, or S-E-S-E, or C-C, Alex Sese. Area code is 650-451-2834. That's 650-451-2834. So there's another guy too, Alex Sese and Mr. Ed, and they want to continue on that, it'll be held like, it used to be 4 times in a quarter every year, but it was transferred to like twice a year, but the continues is there. So I just want to pass this information to Mr. Sylvester, Council Sylvester. So that's it. I have time for now, and I just. Oh yeah, thank you for City Clerk Ms. Apona, because she pointed me to the public housing and assistance, where they're going to be assisting me with the deposit in the first month. I already got credit for May, and I called back, and there was like under the new management already. So I got 13 months lease for now. Trying to keep it up. hopefully things work out. And I know Daly City, man, since 94. I could have got here in 93, but 94, I ain't going nowhere.
All right, thank you, Mr. Nino.
Yes, sir.
I got a question for Mr. Nino.
Go ahead.
And thank you, Mr. Nino. And I do remember when you were here the last time, and I really appreciate you taking the initiative to try to correct things. It's all good, and we're glad to have you.
Yes.
Now, Mr. Alex Sese, what did that pertain to that you were telling me about?
Oh, that they want to continue on the contingency to work for that the sports and collectibles that'll be held. Those are the guys that I stand with in the booth. Remember, we're in the booth and we're talking about collectibles and stuff like that. That's by the Target, in front of Target.
Oh,
Yes.
now they usually have one at Ceremony every quarter or something like
Yes,
that.
yes.
So they want to do something at Westlake?
Yeah, well, they want to continue the tradition.
Okay,
So
all
if
right,
it can't
thank
be
you.
work at Ceremony, it'll be somewhere else. But
Gotcha.
They want to stick to that.
All right, thank you.
Council.
All right, thank you. I have another speaker card, but Bob, did you want to speak on general public comment or item 2? I'm sorry?
Just general public.
All right, come on up. Sure.
Okay, good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, and City Council members. I came here to ask you to please turn the phones back on so we can call in during the meetings. And I think it's a problem with them being shut off. And I know you might not want to hear what the public has to say, but that's kind of like part of your job. And we had a system in place that worked, and then when you became mayor, you shut it off. You don't want to hear what we have to say. I mean, you might not like what I'm saying right now. You might not like what John Daly says, but we have a right to be heard. And it's part of your duty and your responsibility to hear us. And I'm not trying to disparage you. I just think that it's wrong. It's a system that's paid for. It's a waste of taxpayers' money not to use it. And also, I see that Pam Giovanni is being treated with great disrespect, and she's not being afforded a city vehicle. You all have vehicles. You all have access to city vehicles. She doesn't. Her vehicle was taken away. For what reason? Speculation, conjecture, and hearsay. There was no. She didn't have any advocates here. Nobody protected her. Nobody stood up for her. The city attorney sat right there during the election process, and people called in endlessly. And it was reckless, character assassination, and they just let it go rampant. You know, it was defamation of character. Nobody said boo. And that's just wrong. If you let that happen, you need to open the phones up so we can call up during the meeting and speak. I have such a bad back, I'm getting a back operation. I'm not going to be able to come over here, and I'm glad about that. But anyway, hey, I elected all of you. I voted for all of you. I'm very upset with the way you're acting, and I'm really upset that you're not giving Tom proper direction. He just became the city manager, and you threw the guy in the deep end of the pool. It's not his fault for the things that are happening. He needs direction from you guys, and that's what I see, and that's what I want.
Thank you, Bob.
Okay.
All right, let's go on to the consent agenda. Are there any items off the consent anyone want to pull? Ms. Vice Mayor, go ahead.
Yeah, on the consent agenda, I'd like to pull item number 7.
Number 7, all right. Is there anything else?
Yes.
Go ahead, Mr. Giovanni.
Yeah, also 7, 9, and 7 and 9.
All right.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Okay, with the exception of items 7 and 9, can I get a motion to approve the rest of the consent?
Motion to approve.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any objection? Hearing none, those items are approved. Let's go back to item number 7, which is set time and place of public hearing for the firearm safe storage ordinance.
Good evening,
Evening.
Mayor. How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good. Vice Mayor and Council. Staff is recommending City Council set April 24th, 2023 during the normally scheduled council meeting as time and place of public hearing for first reading of the proposed adoption of an ordinance requiring the safe storage of firearms in residence. Research shows access to unsecured firearms can have significant impacts on intentional and accidental injury and death rates, especially for youth, and often with substantial inequities by race, ethnicity, and socioeconomic status. Between 2017 through 2020, the leading cause of death for children and adolescents were firearm-related, taking over traffic collisions for the first time. While the best prevention is to remove firearms, the next best solution is to ensure safe and secure storage to prevent access. While the California Penal Code covers the criminal storage of a firearm, it does not define safe storage or provide violations in situations where an unsecured firearm is not actually used. A firearm safe storage ordinance would require any firearm as defined by the California Penal Code capable of firing a projectile, which is kept in or stored in any residence, to be properly secured or safely stored in a locked container as described by the Penal Code. This would not apply to legally possessed firearm on one's person inside of a residence or to the timely reporting of a lost or stolen firearm in violation of the ordinance so as not to prevent crucial tracking of these items in the firearms in the database. Any violation of this ordinance shall be subject to enforcement through civil penalties through the city. In support of this ordinance, the police department has purchased gun cable locks to provide any Daly City resident needing one for a registered firearm. Additionally, the police department can receive any firearm for destruction purposes at any time. Staff believes this ordinance will encourage the safe storage of firearms in residences, reducing access to all, especially youth and teens, with the intention of reducing injuries and death. Again, staff is recommending City Council set April 24th, 2023, during the regularly scheduled council meeting as time and place for the initial public hearing to review and introduce the new ordinance. Staff is available to provide any additional information by the mayor or the council members.
Chief, go ahead, Ms. Manalo.
Thank you, Acting Chief Christensen, for that report. I pulled this item because I thought it was very important for our community to understand what that means to enact a local ordinance in regards to firearm safe storage. We've seen over the course of time so many unfortunate deaths, as you mentioned, through shootings and, very recently just in Nashville. And so on a local level, I think it's extremely important for us to move with this, and I am in full support for the set and time and place of the public hearing, but also in full support that as a local municipality, that we go with an ordinance for safe storage. I mean, if this is another opportunity to safeguard less violence in our communities and just to ensure that, any of these guns don't go into the wrong hands or children have access to them or teens, this is so important. So I just wanted the community to understand exactly what this means, and I'm a proponent for it. So thank you.
Go ahead, Mr. Drew.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. First, thank you, Chief, for taking quick action on this, and our city manager as well. And I know that having had the history with Sheikah Hamilton and the Brady, and have done many things of gun violence prevention, as well as the current mayor here when we did so many years ago, that many of us have done actions to prevent violence in our community, and including the Moms Demand, which sent the letter, but Alexandria. So there's a piece that usually it's the Brady that has the legislation, as you know, and there is a state law, as you already know. And tonight, and what you're going to provide, because you already did your research, and I really appreciate that. I want people to know our acting chief does extensive research before he presents anything. And that the main thing was they didn't define in the state law what is safe storage. So that is why, one of the reasons this is presented. So during the time of, before I even was on council, we, with the Brady, had gotten the school districts before each session to send out letters to the parents about safe storage. And that was many years ago, so I don't know if we can follow up with them. I think Bernie does still continue that. It was many, many years ago, because we wanted a soft approach. We don't want to vilify most gun owners are responsible, so we didn't want to make sure that that was a proponent of it. But that was a piece of it where they communicated the school districts and sent out letters just to let them know what safe storage is. No more do you put it in the drawer. No door, you want to keep it separate from the ammunition. And just a little bit of education and community engagement when it came to that really helped a lot. And so it would be great if you could contact Bernie, and the new superintendent hasn't started yet. That would be great, and as well as the Tony Presta, see if those letters have continued. If not, then I spoke with Sheikah, and she's willing to contact you on those letters as well. But thank you very much, and everybody knows that anything we can do, if people are angry and they have access too quick, they don't have time to cool off. And this does not give anybody a criminal penalty. It's a civil penalty. That is the thing, because we won't want to penalize people and people of color, because it's the most thing that really happens in, they said, in underserved communities. So we want to make sure that people are not criminalized. It's a civil penalty. So as well, or vilify any of the rightfully gun owners that are responsible. So thank you very much. Appreciate it. Look forward to hearing it on the 24th. Thank you very much for keeping our community safe in all ways. Thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
Dr. Ron? No, Mr. Sylvester, go ahead.
Thank you, Assistant Chief. I have a few questions. You asked that we define a civil penalty. Do we have more information as to what the civil penalty will be when, according to Penal Code Section 25-100, it indicates a penalty starting at $30,000? So if we're going to put something like this together, are we going to design what the civil penalty will be?
Yeah, we had discussed the opportunity to use the government code for the misdemeanor section.
Gotcha.
And/or just a civil penalty, and we elected to go civil penalty at this point through the city attorney's office, and that would be discussed.
So if we go civil penalty, are we going to absolve them from violation of 25-100 of the Penal Code?
If it applies to 25-100, then that will apply. If 25-100 doesn't apply in this circumstance, say that it's not used in a crime and it's just sitting.
Right.
This ordinance only applies to those types of situations. So 25-100 still applies.
Okay. So 25-100 was basically created as a result to prevent access by a child. I can see this ordinance would kind of do both, in the sense that it would, if an owner of a weapon safely stores it, that would prevent a child from access and perhaps other adults. So I see the good part in that. You made mention about safe boxes being provided to the community. Do we have funding for that through grants or that you'd be looking into to support the community should they come in and request a safe box?
Yeah, the items that we have currently are cable locks that can go through the action, through the magazine well.
Trigger locks.
Not trigger locks,
Okay.
they're cable locks that can
Okay.
go through the action, so it can't be closed, and therefore can't be fired. Part of the ordinance will require either a trigger lock, some type of other cable lock device to ensure that it can't actually be loaded and or fired, and or a safe storage container, a lockbox, which is again defined in the California Penal Code.
Okay, so we have those cable locks. Would you be providing safe boxes as well?
We could look into that. Safe
Okay.
boxes typically
All right.
run a little bit more than cable locks, but yeah.
And does one come in and you have to show proof of ownership? And I guess you would do the appropriate checks with, I guess, CJIS to make sure that the actual person requesting the safe box actually owns the weapon. Will you do that prior to doling out the equipment?
At this point, that would be the plan, to check AFIS, the automated firearm system, to ensure that they do have registered guns and that they are citizens of Daly City.
And that they're citizens, okay. All right, that's all I have. Thank you very much, Assistant Chief Christensen, for your presentation.
Thanks, sir.
I have some questions also, if I may. So, is what we are going to be deciding when you propose the firearm safe storage, are we going to get into the weeds of I'm trying to think of, you know, are we gonna get into what kind of storage we're gonna be asking for? And this is what I mean. So I understand a gun owner's right to want to protect themselves. But I could see how some device or some storage could lessen their response, their immediate response to a threat. And like, for example, if it's locked somehow and they have to unlock it and they have to pull out some chain from it or something, versus something like a biometric safe where all they have to do is put their fingerprint on the lock and it opens up. Are we gonna get into trying to prescribe what kind of storage the person, we in Daly City should be asking for? Or how are we gonna solve that? We're trying to figure out.
Yeah, as it stands now, with what we would look to propose at this point would be, the secure lock boxes themselves are defined under the California Penal Code, so we'll refer back to that. So biometrics, combination codes, key code, anything is an option. Really, it's about the type of storage that what it's made of, the material, so it can't be easily defeated. You can't take a gym bag and throw a cable lock on the end of it, because you just got the gym bag open, that type of a thing.
I guess what I'm asking is, can we, as a city, have a more restrictive rule than what the penal code has? So I guess maybe that's Rose.
So the penal code penalizes by criminal nature and charges a misdemeanor or a felony. This isn't necessarily doing that because we are creating a civil penalty, so it would not be more restrictive.
No, what I'm saying, more restrictive in that, could we say that your lock has to be more secure than what the standard of the state? That's what I'm asking. Like for an extreme example would be, you can only have biometric safe, because that's quick, that's functional, that thing, versus, lock and key or that kind of thing. Can we be more restrictive? That's what I'm asking for.
We can look into that because I'm not quite so sure how they define it necessarily in the penal code. So if it doesn't occupy the field, I'm assuming we can make it more restrictive in
I
that
see.
sense, so we can definitely explore that.
Okay, thank you, Chief. Anybody else?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I really hate, I believe the more restrictive that we make it, it's okay. But I don't want to put the work on our police officers to go in and say, well, you know what? This is not biometric. You know what? For this to qualify, it has to be mounted, for instance. And if you mount it, then you can't move it, whereas a person has a right to protect themselves at home and at their place of business. So if they're in the process of transport and the biometric safe is on site, what's to prevent someone to commit a 459 burglary and just taking the whole box and opening it up later? You've defeated the purpose, because as soon as you see the safe, it's just like seeing a catalytic converter. Oh yeah, well, we're going to get that one. But it's good, and I think we have to do something. And if we create this to do this, education is the key, and we have to educate our community. The state has this on file. We further defined it as such, and we have to educate our community. Thank you.
Okay. Go ahead.
I just want to add to that, probably you already saw or already know, and I'm sure the chief already knows, that San Carlos and all the other ones, they've had this on the books for like numerous years as well. I think there's only 4 cities or 3-4 cities in our county that have not signed on it. So like you said, and it's a move in the right direction. And I think that the mayor with his questions as we move forward and then the hearing. So thank you very much. I appreciate it. Thank you, Mayor.
All right.
Thank you.
Chief. All right, thank you. Can I get a motion to approve this item?
Motion to approve item.
Second?
All in favor, say aye.
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 Objection, hearing none, this item's approved. Let's go on to number, what was it, 9? Yes, number 9, which is the set time and place for a public hearing to consider amendments to Daly City's Municipal Code 2.58 Small Business Commission and ordinance to establish a legacy business program.
Good evening, Mayor,
Evening.
members of the council. Actually, this was an item you alluded to in your presentation
Yes.
this evening. Staff is recommending that you set time and place for a public hearing on April 24 that would consider amendments to the chapter governing the roles and responsibilities of the Small Business Commission to include the establishment of a legacy business program. This is a program to celebrate businesses in Daly City that reflect the local culture. And this is something the Small Business Commission has been working on for quite some time. So with their direction, staff will be bringing forward some amendments to the municipal code to create this program.
Great.
Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Giovanni, go ahead.
I just want to say that when I saw the slide and I knew that this was on here tonight, it's something really, really, it's nice, especially people coming out of COVID, mom and pop businesses that we've all had here for a long time. Like we just had, I guess I could say, a pizza tonight from Sabelli's, and they've been around for a very long time as well with families in our community. And please applaud them and thank the Small Business Commission for coming up with this, because that's such a positive, and that's what we need more of that. I really applaud them for doing this, and please send my congratulations. And if they're listening, congratulations to all of you. This is a lot of forward-thinking and extremely thoughtful for our city and for the people that have businesses here. And thank you for your leadership with the Small Business Commission as well. Thank you. Thank you, Mayor. I think it's fantastic.
Can I just ask, I mean, I think it's a good idea of celebrating legacy, like, because when I was listing off those businesses, you know, the TC Pastry, all those others, I frequent those a lot, and so celebrating them is great as a legacy, but is there a focus also on the gentrification issue and trying to make sure that we preserve them and not just celebrate them? Is there, do you know if that's part of that?
Well, we sort of understood at this point in time, there's not really a big budget for this sort of program. So the first stage is to create a registry and sort of use that registry as a way to promote those businesses, because then they will have that plaque, that seal, that they've been designated as a business that represents the community's values. As the program maybe gains steam, we can look at different initiatives to provide some sort of support beyond marketing.
Okay.
But this is sort of the infancy
Start.
stage.
Yeah, very good, very good. Thank you. All right. Any other questions or comments?
Yes, please.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor. I think this just gives me so much joy, because when the Small Business Commission, the inception of it was really around getting small businesses at the table and having their ideas at the forefront. And so seeing this come to fruition, coming from small businesses themselves, and being able to really honor those businesses that have been here for quite some time is huge. But I also agree with the mayor where hopefully long-term, as things move forward, if there's any assistance these legacy businesses need, that we do have some sort of support mechanism, whether there are federal grants out there, maybe the Small Business Association or small business, the federally funded one, like, is able to, put fuel money into this. But it's a great start, and really, I think it's wonderful to hear that this idea stemmed from the Small Business Commission and now is coming to the City Council for fruition. So thank you.
Great. Any other comments? Go ahead, Dr. Ward.
I think this legacy business registry is a great idea. It's an excellent idea. It helps recognize long-term businesses that have established Daly City to become who we are. And hopefully in the long term, we can also, I also support what the mayor said, like, it's great to promote them, but then what is ways that we could also help sustain them long term?
Yeah, it's great.
Great. Any other comments?
Yes.
Go ahead.
You know, above that, I think giving a plaque to these businesses is probably what you have in mind. Similar to what we do for staff here at Daly City, and especially if they're a legacy business and they can show by their permit on file how long they've been in business. I would say maybe a ribbon to connect underneath that plaque. So let's say someone's been in business for 20 years. You know, you could probably start them off with a 20-year ribbon, but in order to get the next one, it'd have to be 5 years, and then you give them a 5-year after that, so it'll be 25 years. So it does two things. One, it lets the patrons know that, wow, this came from Daly City. That's number one. And number two, if I had owned a business like that, you know, I'd want to keep that plaque shiny all the time because I'm looking for that extra ribbon. So I think that might be an idea, but that's up to you folks to explore, but excellent idea. Thank you.
Great. So can I get a motion to approve item number 9?
Motion to approve?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Any objection? Hearing none, this item is approved. All right, let's go on to public hearings. Actually, I don't have any public hearings today. Let's go on to communications, which is item number 14. The use permit and design review conversion of office buildings to apartments at 1784 Sullivan Avenue. Hello.
Hello. Thank you, Mayor, honorable members of the City Council. This is a request to convert the, what's currently an office building near the intersection of Sullivan and Eastmore. You may be familiar with it. It's right next to the CVS. It's been basically used for medical record storage for a number of years. In 2018, the City Council approved a request here for a similar project. We identified this in the staff report where there was actually a larger parking space waiver. So just to give you a little background and clarify why you may have seen this project before. This project's a little different. It's only a 14-unit building. Same concept though, except there would not be an additional floor added on as the previous project had. So this is a use permit and design review, 1784 Sullivan Avenue. And the proposal is to convert an approximately 12,000 square foot office building into a 14-unit apartment building, including 5 studio apartments, 5 one-bedroom apartments, and 4 two-bedroom apartments. The specific plan that the City Council adopted in 1993 allows up to 22 dwelling units at this property, and 14 units are proposed. So it's well within the density range that's allowed. The applicant has requested that a waiver from a law that was recently passed, and I'll explain that, signed by the governor in the fall of last year, which basically precludes the city's ability to require parking for certain projects within 1/2 mile of, say, a BART station, which this project is within 1/2 mile of the Daly City Colma BART station. And I'll explain a little more about what the waiver request is, because essentially the city can require the parking if the unit count is not at least 20, and this is of course less than that. But we'll get into that in a second. The parking requirement proposed would be 0.8 spaces for every bedrooms, or 14. And the staff report actually has a small error. There's not 13 parking spaces proposed, there's 14, so we apologize for that. The applicants requested a waiver from, again, the 80/20/97 20-unit minimum, and the project also contains a 2,500 square foot open space deck. So in the previous approved project, and I keep going back to that to sort of remind that we've actually looked at a similar project, the deck was on the roof. This is proposed as construction on the side, on the north side of the building, so a little more usable. We've added some conditions of approval related to that to try and make it the most useful to the residents who are going to live there. I think we all know where the site is, right there at the near the Sullivan and Eastmore intersection. There'll be a building under construction in the next couple of years, right at the intersection where the old service station is. That is not this property. This is, of course, the one in between that and the CVS pharmacy. And this is a photograph of the existing site. And again, it's an existing 2-story office medical record storage building over parking areas, parking carport, I guess that's what we'd say that. And the Planning Commission recommended that the applicants actually propose garage doors on all of the carports, and they've complied with that, and our drawings now reflect that. There's some context for the site. This is looking to the northwest from the intersection of Sullivan and San Pedro toward the site. Of course, the site in the foreground is the 72-unit apartment building that'll be built, but behind that is this 14-unit conversion. This is just looking to the southwest toward the intersection with the proposed, or the existing building conversion on the right-hand side of the photo. This is the ground floor plan showing essentially the entry drive. So the site plan of this property would not change. Again, the building would remain. It would just be converted to an apartment building from the office use. Again, supplying 14 parking spaces. This is the second floor plan in the area that I'd indicated previously. So this is where the units are in the area that I indicated previously, with the open spaces in that area to the top left of the site, or the floor plan here. And that would be an open space area that's like an open deck. The city staff has recommended that the city council adopt a condition of approval requiring that this area become enhanced and with some sort of an enclosure so that the people who live in the building can actually use it. We're concerned about noise and sort of weather, and the applicant's been amenable to that. This is the next floor plan, again, just additional units. There's just a reconfiguration of the existing walls inside this building to create the apartment complex, essentially. So the applicants proposed some minor changes to the facade of the building. They're going to renovate it and make it attractive to renters or lease spaces too. There's a minor addition. This is on the existing elevations on the north. The existing elevation is on the top side of the drawing, and the proposed is on the bottom. They'll fill in the northeast corner of the building. So there's some small construction that will occur right there at the northeast corner of the building, close to Sullivan Avenue, where they'll provide additional unit count there. South elevation's not changing much. Some windows for egress. So this is the elevation. Of course, this will be covered by a much taller building next door, so the visibility of this will not be great. This is the east elevation. Existing and proposed. So this is the way the building looks from Sullivan Avenue. And again, some minor architectural changes to it, just trying to modernize the aesthetic appearance of this building. Here's some perspective drawings the applicants supplied to us. These drawings have been changed since the Planning Commission meeting to reflect the garage doors added to the carports at the first floor. Sort of provides to the City Council how the building would look from perspective angles. And these are the materials shown in the bottom right of the drawing that would be incorporated into the redesign. In the bottom left drawing shows the deck as proposed, and you can see how it's kind of open to the elements, and we wanted that to receive a little bit more treatment so that residents find that more comfortable and useful. So this project will pay affordable housing fees. That's what's mandated by our ordinance, and those are included as a condition of approval. Project's exempt from CEQA, and there are findings that are included in the staff report that the City Council would have to make in approving the project. We've made some suggested conditions of approval, and that is that there be more robust architectural treatment of the tower element at the northwest or southeast. That's actually the northeast corner of the building, excuse this typo. And we wanted to have just a little more strong visual presence there for the architectural element there. We also wanted the residential windows to, we wanted to clarify that the windows are going to be aluminum to try and add basically a better aesthetic to the building. And then street level windows would all be dark aluminum. We wanted the chain link fence on one of the property lines to be a new wood fence, stained dark brown. The Planning Commission actually has modified, recommending that the City Council modify the metal materials on the building to be stainless steel, not galvanized, for added weather protection. Sometimes we see buildings that don't have any weather protection, and the elements sort of make, you know, they rust those parts of the building, and kind of drips down the side of the building. So we're trying to address that situation. And then the fifth one was the common open space area I'd mentioned previously. We wanted that to become enhanced with additional fitness equipment and something to make it more useful to the residents and the applicants amenable to that. Wanted to just point out very briefly again, touching back on the Assembly Bill 2097 that was signed into law by the governor last fall. It essentially restricts the city's ability to require parking within a half mile of a high-quality transit stop, and the nearby BART station would definitely qualify this project, were it not for the fact that the project's only 14 units. So if the project is less than 20 units, the city can require all of the parking. So the applicant was in a situation where they needed to either apply for a variance, or we could use this new law and grant a waiver from it. The city can waive its right to require the additional parking under AB 2097, and that's actually what we're recommending, so that there's no need to make the findings for a variance. And it also enhances the city's, the optics of the city trying to allow for housing near transit. And we're taking advantage essentially of a new law, and we think it's appropriate use of AB 2097 should the city council agree. The Planning Commission's recommended this project to the City Council and recommends the following actions: adopt the findings, affirm the environmental assessment, and approve the project. If there's any questions of the city staff, we're of course here, and the applicant's also present tonight.
Yeah, go ahead. Oh, yeah.
Okay, so when you talked about the affordable housing piece, and of course, the project would be in line with our ordinance, you said that they would be paying in lieu fees. What designates them from paying in lieu fees versus having like one unit out of the 14?
Well, it's a rental product, and I believe that rental products that are 20 or less, or I think it's 20 or less, or the ordinance identifies them as paying a fee.
Okay,
Not
so
providing
we
units.
have it, that's what we currently have.
That's in
If
the
there's any, if it's 20 or less, then they have to just pay an in lieu fee.
for rental product.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you, Michael, appreciate it. Yeah, I have a couple of questions. I noticed on the slide it said that they had to put up a wood fence, and is that sustainable? Or dark stained brown, dark brown, said new wood fence?
Right.
In our, given our, climate and the winds and everything else we have going on, is there any other thing that you would suggest or?
Well, we could go back to
Yeah, later
galvanized
for that,
chain link.
right?
I think it's the aesthetics of it. We wanted something that was, actually a visual
Yeah.
barrier, and wood does that the best. We require usually in plan check that it be pressure treated
Oh,
wood.
yeah. Oh, yeah, so
Brian
thank you. I just
Stain.
wanted to point that part out because, yeah, I've seen the fences going down recently, even brand-new fences. The other thing is, I know that our senior housing at top of the hill, remember they were built and they only didn't have any housing, and they cannot get people to come in. So my concern is, even though I get the state bill and I get the part about the no parking and it's only 14 units, but if someone doesn't have a car, at least one car or whatever, then are we going to be able to fill that? And then, or how are they going to be accessible getting their groceries? It's all great in theory, but it's really not easy to get around. I'm sure they just don't go to CVS and back and with the bus line or what have you. Has that been thought about? If there was to be any parking or no parking at all?
Well, the way that the project's designed is that there's at least one parking space.
Okay, so they do get one?
Yeah, they would
at
get
least,
one.
Unlike the one at top of the hill?
Right,
Okay.
exactly. So
So,
there's the possibility for that.
okay,
Right.
and that doesn't really take away from any of our units, which is good. And then the other thing was, I know that the other things come down later as far as, because I know you do a really good job on the climate aspect of it, right?
The climate aspect.
On any of the lighting, because it's hard to get light in those areas into those apartments, wouldn't it be? Or was that discussed as well?
Well, the city's building codes usually
Well,
address.
let the light in,
energy-
right?
Sure, and they have
Right.
their codes related to making sure that all of the switches and all of that sort of
And-
hardware is energy efficient.
And what about any of the noise-proof windows?
The city will make sure that all of the windows are
Thank you.
noise rated. Yes, they'll
Yeah,
be
you guys
FTC
are really
rated.
good at that. applaud all of you in your department. So yeah, that's about it for right now. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you very much, Michael.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Mr. Sylvester, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Longhausen, for your report.
Thank you.
How many bedrooms?
The total number of bedrooms, let's see if we can do some math
22?
here. It was actually on this slide. I knew you'd ask a trick question.
I'm sorry? Well,
I
you
said I
know
knew
me.
you'd ask a trick. Let's see, so if we have 5 studios, well, that's, I don't know if that's a bedroom.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, 5 one-bedroom apartments, so there's 5 bedrooms there, and then 4 two-bedrooms, so there's at least 13, 18 with the studios, assuming that we count the studio as bedrooms.
18,
Should be times 0.8.
0.8, 14.4.
Glad someone's checking our math, yeah.
That's
I was
correct.
actually doing the same thing over there.
All right. And in your schematic and diagram, I think I only counted 12 parking spots.
Yeah, there's 14 parking
There's
spots.
14,
Yeah.
if you count the one on the far, was it the west side? I see a little garage.
Yeah.
And he's
there's
shaking his head.
There's an ADA compliant spot there that we forgot to count, yeah.
Okay. And you answered my question. If someone obtained a studio, they would at least get 1 parking spot, even though a 1-bedroom is 0.8.
That's correct.
Very good. Thank you. I have no further questions.
You're welcome.
Can you tell me what is the update on that 72 unit place that's in front of it? What's the latest on that? How is
Yeah,
that
so
going?
that's 493 Eastmore. It's a core project, and it's currently in plan check in the city. So that's its current status. The applicants develop construction drawings. We've been working with them to refine the site plan. The council will recall that intersection is going to be changed a little. There'll be a free right-hand turn lane provided. And so we've been working with them on the effects of that on the site plan right at the immediate corner.
And can you tell me, refresh my memory about the parking for them? Is that changing in any way because of this law?
The applicant hasn't requested a change. So, no.
Are they grandfathered? How would that work?
It's actually an interesting question because somebody else has asked it on another project. I honestly don't know. They would, I mean, if they made a reapplication, in theory, they could provide less parking.
Okay. And their parking, how is it structured?
It's podium level parking,
It's
so the
podium.
parking's beneath the building also.
Okay, okay. And the two developments have nothing to do with each other?
They have nothing to do with each other. At some point, we had hoped that they could join together and kind of build a single project, but that just didn't happen.
I see. And do you know what the history is, why that failed, this new project, why it failed? Why did they?
I do not know the reason why. I can speculate if you'd like. I think that the construction cost, that last project had to add a floor onto this building. The building was built in 1963, so retrofitting a building that's, going on 60 years old probably became expensive and maybe didn't pencil. But that's speculation on my part.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Okay,
Any
thank
other
you.
questions, comments? Hearing none. Is there a motion to approve? Let me just make sure
Second?
findings, I have to do A, B, and C. Okay, so again, can I get a motion to adopt the resolution by roll call? Who made it?
Motion to adopt a resolution by roll
First,
call.
is there a second?
Second.
Second, okay, can I get a roll call, please? Oh,
Would you repeat that motion?
all right, can I get a motion to adopt the resolution by roll call?
Motion to adopt a resolution by roll call.
Thank you.
Second by
Second.
Ms. Manalo.
Ms. DiGiovanni,
Yes.
Dr. Rod,
Yes.
Ms. Manalo,
Aye.
Mr. Sylvester,
Glenn Sylvester, aye.
Mr. Buenaventura.
Aye. Thank you, Mr. Buckman-Luxheisen. All right, let's go on to appointments, boards, commissioner membership, committee assignments. Any appointments?
Yes, Mr. Mayor?
Go ahead.
May I? And Rose, please correct me if I do this wrong. Yes, tonight, I would like to, I think the way I have to do it correctly is I have to remove Teresa Fapua from the library trustee and then appoint her to the planning commission. So I'd like to make a motion to remove Teresa Fapua from library board of trustees first. I think that's correct, Rose? Is that correct?
Yes, because she's currently serving her term, so she either has to be voted off to be removed or she has to resign.
Correct. So I'd like to make a motion to remove Teresa Fapua for library trustees. And then after that, then I'll appoint her to the planning commission. Motion to remove her first. I think you have to have 4 votes, right?
Second?
Okay. All those, or do I do a roll call?
Let's do a roll call.
Roll call.
Ms. DiGiovanni,
Yes.
Dr. Rod,
Aye.
Ms. Manalo, Mr. Sylvester,
Glenn Sylvester, aye.
Mr. Buenaventura.
Aye.
Now I'd like to make a motion to appoint Teresa Fapua to our planning commission.
Glenn Sylvester, I'll second.
Okay, let's do a roll call.
Ms. DiGiovanni,
Aye.
Dr. Rod,
Aye.
Ms. Manalo,
Aye.
Mr. Sylvester,
Glenn Sylvester, aye.
Mr. Buenaventura.
Aye.
Okay, next, I'd like to, that would create an opening on my library board of trustees. So I'd like to appoint this person, Rachel Goodman, who has expressed over the next few years, including our commission meeting. Her family's been here with our Jewish community for over 50 years. Actually, when we had a synagogue here in Daly City, and we're involved in the community for over 50 years. And she's currently serving on our BPAC committee and has never missed a single meeting. And so with that, I'd like to appoint Rachel Goodman. She'll be the first Jewish woman on our library board of trustees.
Is there a second?
Is that your motion? You're making a motion, council
Yes,
member?
yeah, I'm sorry, yeah,
Glenn Sylvester, I will second.
yeah, thank you.
Roll call, please.
Ms. DiGiovanni,
Aye.
Dr. Rod,
Aye.
Ms. Manalo,
Aye.
Mr. Sylvester,
Glenn Sylvester, aye.
Mr. Buenaventura.
Aye.
Thank you all very much.
All right, any other board, commission, membership, committee appointments? Hearing none, let's go on to council committee reports. The first one is the water subcommittee meeting. Who wants to report on that?
All right. So we had a City Council Water Subcommittee meeting attended by myself and Vice Mayor Justin Manalo, along with City Manager Thomas Picolotti, City Attorney Rose Zimmerman, Director of Finance Tim Nevin, our water and Director of Water Wastewater Joshua Cosgrove, Senior Management Analyst Anthony Tofiga, and Acting Assistant Director of Water and Wastewater Kayla DeFries. And we also had financial consultants from John Farnkoff, who represented HF and H Consultants, and also Jeff Michalczyk, also part of HF and H, in attendance. We were provided a presentation by our Director of Water Wastewater, Josh Cosgrove, who gave an introduction and brief history on the current and water previous water rate studies, and then followed up by a PowerPoint presentation by HF and H, John Farnkoff and Jeff Michalczyk, and what they recommended was a 4% rate increase in each of the next 5 fiscal years. The reason for this 4% water rate increase was that there is a cash balance projections that if we didn't do anything, we would see a total cash balance that would drop tremendously, and we wouldn't have the cash balance, let's call it like padding, that would fall off in year 2025, 26. And so with this 4% increase each year, it'll keep us above water. And just to give you context, with this 4% increase over the next 5 years, the last recent increase, just to put in perspective, we were looking at 4% for the next 5 years. Our last water increase was 9.5%. So if you look at it, it went from 9.5% to now breaking off into smaller percentages in the next few years. So with that's basically the justification for these water increases, is to protect our cash balance projections, and also, let's see here. Oops.
You're doing really good.
Just trying to look at what else I wrote in here. I forgot where I put it, but then I think what they did also is that they also did a ranking in terms of all the cities in the county, and given how big our city is in relationship to all the cities in our county, we are on par with those that are within our population and the rate increases. And I think that's about it. So for next steps, is that this will be brought to our city council meeting in April 10th, 2023. They'll mail out Prop 218 notices by April 28th, 2023. If we are able to pass it on the April 10th meeting, we'll have a public hearing on June 12th, 2023, and the effective date will be in the new fiscal year of July 1st, 2023. Vice Mayor, is there anything?
Dr. Rod, Professor Rod, you definitely did a great synopsis of and articulated what the meeting entailed, and so I think you got it.
All right. Any other council reports?
And I don't know if you want to add Director Cosgrove. Did I miss anything? Okay. Okay. Great.
Any other council reports?
And I had a Bosco meeting, and what I'll do is at our next council meeting, I'll give a synopsis of that meeting. We actually met virtually. It's supposed to be in person, but due to the storms and there was no electricity at the Burlingame Community Center. But I'll provide a detailed update at the next council meeting.
Any other council committee reports? Hearing none, let's go to, okay.
I have one more. I attended the Peninsula Clean Energy meeting. Let's see here. That was on March 23rd, 2023. There were we did a fiscal review, especially with what's been going on with Silicon Valley Bank and different bank institutions that have had some economic challenges over the past month. What they reported out is that there is no direct impact on PCE finances from Silicon Valley bank failure. Let's see. We don't. PCE does not have any type of holdings within PCE portfolio, so we're okay with that. There's also our current executive director for PCE, Jan Pepper, is going to be retiring by the end of the fiscal year, and that position is now up on the PCE website. Jan's been there from the get-go, and I think she's done a tremendous job in terms of establishing PCE, creating it as a very viable proponent for clean energy in the county, and she'll definitely be missed. But then, get to the age when you want to move on. Also, PCE is also having a citizen advisory committee. There's an open spot, so if you are interested, and especially for North County and representation of Daly City, being one of the largest cities in the county, it'd be really, really great for it. People in Daly City that are interested in becoming part of this committee is to check out their website, Google PCE or Peninsula Clean Energy, and there are information for the Citizen Advisory Committee. The Citizen Advisory Committee is really important because what they do is they meet and they also provide concerns of what the citizens up and down this county in terms of clean energy and equity issues. And then what they do is that they inform our governing board for PCE board in terms of what are some things that we should be working on. So it's a really, really key program. For example, they came up with a DEAI framework about 2 years ago. We were one of the first and only clean energy organizations that have adopted a DEAI framework, and we're the gold standard when it comes to that throughout the state. And so that's just an example of some of the things that they are that they have influence on.
All right, thank you, Dr. Rod. Any other council committee reports? Hearing none, let's go to city council reports. Let me ask the vice mayor to, if you could tell the public about our weekend meeting on Saturday.
Oh, sure, Mayor. For the community watching and those in the audience, we actually had our budget meeting with the colleagues and staff and looking at our budget priorities for the upcoming year. And I will say thank you to City Manager Piccoletti and also to Leilani and also to Director Nevin and also City Attorney Rosa Marin, who was the staff members that were there. But looking at the budget, there are some deficits that we're forecasting down the line, but also just looking at what we need to do as a council regarding that. You know, we did have a surplus because of the ARPA funds that we allocated, as everyone knows. You know, we allocated it to supporting our workers, also supporting residents with rental assistance. I mean, so many aspects that we use those ARPA funds for, but looking at what we need to do to make sure that we have healthy budgets moving forward. You know, we had a snapshot of where we're at, the trajectory, and some things that we need to look at as far as like what are the priorities moving down the pipeline. I think one thing to note is that there were one-year budget cycles that we were moving through because of the pandemic. The request is to move into 2-year budget cycles moving forward. And so that's something to note for the public to understand that that's something that we're looking into, you know, and I think that it was very comprehensive, but there's a lot more work to be done, and that was just one first meeting, and we'll have more meetings forthcoming to reach our goal of having a budget approved before the fiscal year in 2024.
Great, thank you, Ms. Vice Mayor. You have any other city council reports?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. If I may, I wanted to share with the community and those in the public that there was a community vigil at the Filipino Bayanihan Resource Center for Francis Lucero, who unfortunately passed away through some domestic violence. At that community gathering and vigil, Tita Perla Arbrientos was there. One of our youth members, Fernando, and Commissioners Cheryl Qatar and Commissioners Ray Satori. Present with the organizations were Gabriela of Daly City and Akbayan, the Filipino Community Center. But it was a time with the family and just to support the family and be in community. And so she was laid to rest today. And so we just extend the support to the family at this time. Also, on Saturday, there was a coffee with Canapa. It was about health disparities and really how to ensure that over the course of time, how do we meet those health disparities in communities of color, and it just, data shows that because of the pandemic, those disparities got even wider. And so that was just a conversation at Drip and Melt in Broadmoor. And also on March 22nd, I was able to be on a panel with other elected officials at the Philippine consulate. There were other elected officials in education and other municipalities just to share their experiences as women in leadership, and also why we ran for office, and also just some of the policy priorities we had. And I shared in that forum that the reason why I ran for city council was really around being able to impact the community I was raised in. And if I look, I'm probably on this council like the only one that was raised in Daly City from elementary school all the way up to, I'm still in Daly City, so elementary, middle school, high school. And so being able to give back to the community that raised me is something very special. So I was able to share that, and it was really wonderful to hear from other leaders around the Bay Area, and also hear from the younger generation. Someone that was a board of trustee in another county, she shared with me something very special. She said when she was in college, she was Googling, and she saw that the only Filipina elected really out there was myself. And she said something that really touched my heart. She said, you really inspired me to run for office. And it's those moments that I'm really touched and grateful to be in the place I am. And so I'm really glad to see her in her role as a board of trustee in education. As we talk about Women's History Month, and City Clerk, for the record, with Daly City's representation and Daly City's population being slightly more with women, with approximately 55,234 residents identifying as female, I think that, during Women's History Month right now, I'm calling for the creation of a Women's Commission right here in the city of Daly City. It is long overdue, and there are still equity gaps that we need to support. The California Status of Women and Children stated a significant amount of households in California lived on incomes at or below poverty line prior to the pandemic. Women of color were the first to lose jobs and the last to regain them, causing long-term financial stress to their households. And so the pandemic highlighted this even more so. And so I am calling to examine and see if we have the feasibility to have a Daly City Women's Commission here. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Any other city council reports? Go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to let the people know, and thank you for the report on Vice Mayor for the budget priorities that we had, and to let people know, I believe, isn't it correct? We're going to be having more upcoming meetings to let people know to pay attention to them. We haven't decided yet whether it's going to be in the council chambers or back where we were that other day, but I would like to welcome people to come and attend, because it's really important that we will be in discussion with our upcoming capital improvement projects and any other budget issues forthcoming. And I believe the next one is in April, City Manager? The next one. And then so that in our upcoming, when we try to adopt in July our budget, then we'll have more of the feasibility studies that were asked for the other day on certain issues and certain priorities, and then we'll get the real numbers on our capital improvements and many other things that will be presented us by Mr. Nevin and our city manager. So I would like to encourage people to pay attention to those dates, and we'll try to make sure we get them out to our community. So thank you very much, and thank you, Mayor.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Giovanni.
one
Go ahead,
announcement.
Dr. Rod.
I have an announcement for our community, the Cypher Hip Hop Learning Community at Skyline College is putting together their 16th annual Rock the School Bells Conference. It's a hip hop education conference focusing on the 50 years of hip hop. Dang, hip hop is that old? That's fine. It's pretty young. It is. It's infancy. And so the conference will include hip-hop workshops, live music and performances, an MC Cypher, resources at community fair, and a vendors fair. So it is Thursday, April 13th from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. at Skyline College. And one of my classes, I was able to open up to one of my colleagues, Mr. Gabe Dela Cruz, owner of the Hayward record shop. He has a record shop in Hayward, and his name is DJ Del Rox. He'll be talking about the history of Filipino Americans in hip hop.
Great, thank you, Dr. Rod. Any other city council reports? All right, hearing none. How about staff report? Mr. Piccolotti.
Yeah, through the chair, thank you. Want to thank the council for Saturday coming out. We got to get a sneak preview at the Titalis Bulos Hub. I hope the council enjoyed that. What staff was very impressed with the engagement, and we got a lot of information that we will be able to refine, review, and give feedback to council in the upcoming meetings. So appreciate that. I would also like to take a moment to, I think great job in the address tonight, Mr. Mayor. Staff was able to provide you some good information. You delivered it, on point, so thank you very much. In the state of the city, he was the acting director of water, wastewater, but later on in the meeting, he became the director, and I just wanted to recognize Joshua Cosgrove went through a recruitment and was above all the other candidates. He has now been appointed Director of Water and Wastewater Resources. So I wanted to make that mention tonight. So, yeah, congratulations, Joshua. And I would like to have him come up and speak to the council at this time if you have a quick moment.
Come on up.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. I really enjoy working here in Daly City. I came over here in 2015, and it's just been a pleasure. I really feel like I mentioned it when I first came up to the council, that coming and working here, it was like being called up to the big leagues. I love baseball. I'm kind of a baseball fanatic, and I really feel like this is coming up to the big leagues, and it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of challenges every day. But I really enjoy it. Really enjoy working with Tom and the whole staff at Water Wastewater. Greg's here tonight. We have a great team over there, and we really enjoy serving you in this community. So thank you.
Thank you. Congratulations. Any other staff?
That's all I have, sir.
All right. Thank you. Okay, so we're now at the adjourn in memory. Let me turn it over to Mr. Giovanni. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, given the wake that we just did the ordinances proposed coming up, and then today hearing in Nashville that We have more children and more schools. It's just so heartbreaking. And the demographics, what I learned from Sheikah Hamilton today, this is the first time a woman, and since 1979, I believe, has been identified. So I don't want to give her the gravitas, but we have to make sure that we know there's no one typical person that's doing these at our schools. So in the memory of the children and the staff that unfortunately were targeted today or we lost for the gun violence, and that we may continue for them, and more to come. Unfortunately, it seems like a daily occurrence. At the same day, there were victims at a gas station that met the criteria of a mass shooting, because the criteria is the number. Unfortunately, it's the number that creates it. So that doesn't even say the ones that are lost daily. So I want people to remember that in their honor. And again, we all know that Francis Young as well, and the history of domestic violence is something we need to address as well. And in the memory of those who lost their lives in the storms from trees, locally, across the nation, tornadoes. I don't know if this is ongoing, but we just have to continue to be vigilant and do the best we can and be kind to one another. So may they all rest in peace, and thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Ms. DeGiovanni. Madam Vice Mayor, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to adjourn in memory of Lilia de Jesus Palma, my high school friend's mother, who was a long-time Daly City resident. She was also known as Lily or Ling. She was born in Lucena, Philippines. Her parents were Agustin and Purificacion. Lilia was the eldest sibling to brother Clodoaldo and sister Maria Teresa. She graduated from the School of Dentistry at Centro Escolar University of Manila. She looked very young. Patients didn't even believe she was a dentist. Lilia immigrated to the U.S. Her first stop was Detroit, Michigan. Then she traveled to majority of the 50 states with her cousin Ida. She then became a medical and dental claims examiner for Blue Shield and later Northwestern and C.W. Sweeney. She moved to the San Francisco area of California. Then her Aunt Luming introduced her to her husband-to-be, Rodolfo Ben-Hur. They recently celebrated their 51st wedding anniversary. Lilia was a longtime resident of Daly City, California. Her and her husband raised a son named Oliver and daughter, Lorelei. Eventually, she gained a son-in-law, Florio, and 2 grandchildren, Adami and Vincent Javan. Lilia was a devout Catholic. She went to Mass every Sunday at Our Lady of Perpetual Help, prayed the Rosary often, and fulfilled her long life dream of visiting the Holy Land. She donated to many charities and always sent birthday and anniversary cards to family and friends. Lilia was an active member at the Lincoln Park Community Center. She organized events, performed cultural dances, and even hula. She did Tai Chi, learned Spanish and German, and she was part of the Kapihan Coffee Talk group there. She received many awards for her volunteerism. Some of her hobbies included cooking, with her signature dish, dinuguan, gardening, traveling, especially on cruises. Of course, going on Facebook, watching of movies, reality shows, game shows, talk shows, shopping for clothes and snacks, dining out for special occasions, and babysitting her grandkids. Having long conversations with loved ones, especially like cousins like Lito. She will be dearly missed by all.
All right, thank you, Madam Vice Mayor. Any other adjourned memories? All right, we have one for our employee and their immediate family, Francisco Polo Ai, who's the father-in-law of Isaoko Tagaloa. I'd like to adjourn in memory of Francisco, as well as all the others that we mentioned tonight. Let's take a moment of silence, please. All right, this meeting's adjourned. Thank you very much, everybody.